The Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass. Where we make it happen, grab your seat, let's have a blast. At the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast.
If you love the entrepreneurial journey, how about subscribing and giving us a 5-star review? Wherever you get your podcasts, follow or subscribe and give us a positive review so more entrepreneurs out there don't need to feel alone. Thanks. Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey podcast. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to have a friend and co-dog walker, Jill Henry, with me, who also, most of her time, is spent building a fantastic business called Meander. You're the co-founder, Jill, aren't you?
Yes, that's right. I am. Yes, co-founder alongside my husband, Steve, who's the other Meander co-founder. Yes.
Cool. Great. Okay. Now, what kind of clothing, apparel do you sell?
So we create clothing for outdoor lovers. So for dog walkers, for hikers, for people who love the outdoors. But it's very much about creating versatile clothing. So we have quite a minimalist, Scandinavian-inspired design ethos. And the idea is that we're creating versatile garments for people with an outdoor lifestyle, but you could wear that same garment to work. You could wear it on a dog walk or, around the house. So yeah, that is the premise.
Cool. Now, we share a passion for walking our dogs up the same hill in Edinburgh. And that's how we met.
Yes.
Was that 5 years ago, do you think? How old's Dexter?
Oh, well, Dexter's 8. Yeah, Dexter's 8. So it could have even been about 8 years ago, right? Because it was when little Eddie and Dexter were little pups running around together.
I can't believe it was 8 years ago. It was 8 years ago. That's quite scary biscuits, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we made friends through our 4-legged friends, which was really nice. When did you start Meander?
So we launched in 2018, our first jacket, so about 6 years ago. So it was very much, I had worked in London since graduating from the Textiles College in Galashiels in fashion, so a very long time ago, and then worked in London for a good 12 years working for fashion brands down there. And then Steve and I had the idea to start Meander whilst we were both working in London, him in finance and me for fashion brands. And then, really decided if we were going to start a brand, we would love to do it back in Scotland, and it just felt like the right place to start something like that. It was 2018 that we launched our first jacket, which was the Meander jacket, still in the collection now. It was inspired by a bike ride that Steve and I had done with a group of friends, cycling from London to Paris. And I suppose having to pack very minimally, looking for that product, that performance jacket that you could wear on the bike, but then also arrive in Paris and not feel like, a complete cyclist. We were quite, casual cycling novices. There was a few people that worked in fashion, so maybe slightly caring a little bit more what we look like than the average cyclist. But yeah, that was the inspiration. So we started with our first jacket, the Meander jacket, which was, high performance, but quite a minimalist style. And we launched that through a crowdfunding campaign, which was great. It helped fund our very first production run. Backed by people who still support us and buy from us today, which is fab.
That is fab. So there's quite a lot in there. What led you to textiles in the first place?
I've always been interested in it since, growing up, really. My mum is really skilled at, dressmaking, used to make a lot of her own clothes, used to make our clothes. So I think I definitely picked up that interest from my mum. She taught me how to sew from when I was quite quite young, and then I used to go to a lady to, you know, learn how to do it more when I was a teenager. So yeah, I was just always really interested in clothing and fashion. I wasn't, you know, I was definitely not very academically or, you know, great at maths and things like that when I was at school. So I think when I learned that you could actually have a career in, you know, clothing or fashion, I think my eyes lit up and I thought, wow, this is definitely the way forward for me. So it was from quite a young age, really. And as soon as I finished school, I went off and went to fashion college. And then before going on to do my degree at the Scottish College of Textiles. And so, yeah, it's just been something that I've done pretty much most of my adult life.
I love that. I love you've turned that passion into a business. And for people outside of Scotland, the Borders in Scotland was world renowned for its weaving, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And absolutely, I mean, whilst a lot of the mills have closed, we still work today with, we have 3 factories that we work with in Scotland, who have been around for over 100 years. 2 of them are in Hawick, which is in the Scottish borders. And yeah, they're amazing. They have machinery, some that's, you know, very new and very modern and can do all sorts of things, but then they have some that, you know, is practically 100 years old and is still producing garments. So yeah, it's brilliant to be able to go back there and work with these people.
It is. The skills are incredible, and like a lot of things, you know, the industry went overseas, but I think there's a revival in terms of, you know, if you want something bespoke, if you want something high quality with high levels of design, then I think a lot of people like yourselves are looking back at places like the Borders and going, the skills still exist, just about,
Yeah,
and we can make
absolutely.
something of that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, for us, I mean, we like to manufacture as close to home as possible. It's good for a number of reasons. You know, we're passionate about making our products as sustainably as we can as well. So, you know, to be able to get products from somewhere that's an hour's drive from Edinburgh is good in that respect. But I mean, the quality that comes out of these mills is absolutely amazing. I mean, the knitwear that we produce from there, they use, it's like 90% merino and 10% cashmere. They're so warm, they will last, you know, such a long time. They're incredibly well made. It's, you know, night and day in comparison to what you might get on the high street that's most likely, you know, made in somewhere in the Far East. It's just a totally different product. And I think, like you say, people are changing. People that are shopping with us are definitely looking for products that will last in their wardrobes for a lot longer, rather than something that's kind of, you know, the latest trends. I think that's more important.
Style over substance, Jill.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I've got to
Function
ask,
over fashion.
yeah, without a doubt. You worked in the fashion industry in London. Is it as horrific as Devil May Prada makes out? Are there any horror stories you can share?
Oh wow. Um I definitely have a lot of stories. And I'm, it maybe is quite bad because I'm not sure how many of them I would be able to share that are springing to mind.
Yeah.
It's definitely an industry. I'm sure it's getting better. And I like to think at Meander that we've very much embraced a new modern way of working. And but yeah, I definitely over the years have encountered some very fashionista behavior that you might not get in your average workplace. Let's say for sure.
No, it's not full of narcissistic divas. Surely not.
No, I mean, I've met some lovely people and quite a few celebs over the years. Latterly, I worked for House of Holland, so Henry Holland's company. So he was a great guy. That was great fun. He's very good friends with the likes of Agnes Stain, who was a supermodel back in the 90s, and Nick Grimshaw. And there was often a lot of like these people popping in and out the office, and it was just actually a great fun place to work. Fashion Week was, full of parties with Rita Ora, Girls Aloud were there, Sophie Ellis Baxter. My husband Steve had a long career in finance, and suddenly he was at after show parties with all of these people and was like, oh my goodness, what is happening? So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And it was very different kind of going from that life in London and then moving up to the Braid Hills, which is much more, almost countrified, walking the dog every day. But yeah, I very much enjoyed both.
Yeah, definitely. Poor Steve. 1 minute a spreadsheet, the next minute is chatting with Rita Ora. That's quite a cultural difference.
Absolutely. I think that was it for him. He was like, I'm getting involved in this world. No more finance for me.
I've had Peter Wood, the CEO of All Saints, on this podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he we go back a very, very long way from when he was an accountant in Glasgow. And he runs a great business. The culture and ethos at All Saints is absolutely fantastic, and he's really passionate about developing that. So you're absolutely right. I think with more enlightened times, I'm hoping there's less of the bad behaviour in the fashion world, definitely. Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at TriCrest, we've built a kick-ass culture coach and consultant program? So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9 to 5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there. Okay, so originally you were online, weren't you? I think that was right. You were online with the jacket and you built your audience online. When did you open your first retail outlet?
So we went into retail really early on, actually. So yeah, we launched the Meander jacket 2018, and then it was the following year that we tried a pop-up space initially. It's on St. Stephen Street in Edinburgh, which is round the corner from our permanent store now in Stockbridge. It was a little place, it's called Space 17. And the people who ran it had a great idea, and it was to, have this place as a revolving pop-up store to allow brands to try out the space, and you could rent it for 1, 2, 3 months to try out physical retail space, and they would help promote you, and it was just a great way to give it a go. So we tried that, the year after we launched our first jacket, and that was when we introduced our first collection. So I had Space at 17 for a month. I think it was in October 2019. And it was at that point, it was a very small store, but it was just, a great experience, lovely community in Stockbridge, immediately getting traction, being able to talk to customers, explain the products a little bit more, get that feedback, and just have that interaction just felt really right. So it was, immediately after the pop-up that we were like, okay, let's try and get ourselves a retail space, something more permanent. Initially we traded online whilst looking, but obviously, the following year, it was 2020, and I probably don't need to say much more, but obviously the pandemic happens. We did have another store that we were about to sign a lease on in, I think it was February, March 2020 in Stockbridge, just across the road from where we are now. But obviously everything happened with COVID. We didn't know, nobody knew at that point what on earth was going on. And we just thought, we can't sign this lease right now. What's happening with retail? What's happening in the world? So we pulled back on that one, and continued. I mean, I guess like everyone else, kind of watching what was happening, was continuing with the online business. But at that time, Steve was still working in finance. It was very much just myself in the business. So trying the online side of things. But I think probably being very new to it, had a very strong product background, but not so much online marketing. So I wasn't getting that sort of lift and traction that I was looking for. So I think, another few months down the line, and I was still, despite what was happening in the world, keen to get into retail. Right. And I walked along George Street, which is our, premium shopping street in Edinburgh. Mm-hmm. And this was in, late summer of 2020, when I saw a beautiful store, just, right in the center of George Street in the perfect spot, which was really quite lovely done already. But I could see it was empty, and I peered through the window and I was like, I wonder if there's an opportunity. So I called the estate agent, and normally, George Street is full of all your huge brands that have been around for a very long time, and not so much small independents. So I did think, is there any possibility that I'm going to be able to afford this space? Probably not, but let's give it a go. And I think, it was an opportunity of the time, whereby, a lot of people were scared to go into retail, and there was a good deal for us to be had. So we initially took the store on George Street as a 3-month trial pop-up.
Oh, right.
We took it from October 2020 until just Christmas time. And again, it was brilliant. It was actually, I think it was in between lockdowns. And we had, our sales were incredible. We hadn't really planned to have a shop in this premium location. So actually everything was just selling out that I had bought. It was only me. I think I worked, 7 days a week. So he was going from his finance job and come and help over weekends. And we just kept going. It was only, myself and then Steve at the weekends in the business. And then I think it was December and COVID was spiraling again. And there was lots of talk are they going to lock everything down? Are they going to close all these retail? And I think whilst, a lot of retailers were panicking, and if it was happening now, I would also be panicking with 2 stores, I was actually running out of stock. Right. I hadn't stopped for about 3 months in a row. I was exhausted, and it was like they announced this lockdown, and to be honest, it was a bit of a relief. It was like, okay, we have just done Christmas in this premium location, and had, a brilliant sort of quarter there. But let's, reset and reorganize now. So that was my first delve into retail, and we actually reopened in that space in April the following year when the retail all opened back up again. Managed to restock with all our manufacturing partners in that time. And then we continued to trade there for 2 years on George Street. We had it in total, which was incredible. It was a brilliant way for the brand to get started. We made, fantastic contacts. I got our first or second investor through having the store there.
Oh, wow.
A customer who came in and absolutely loved the brand. Oh, wow. So there was so many good opportunities that came out of us having that store, and it really accelerated us getting started. I think, we were always kind of looking for the other more permanent store, knowing that in reality is for us to grow sustainably, that a permanent place on George Street would be quite a lot for a brand of our size. So we've relocated, and we're now based in Stockbridge in Edinburgh, which is this, as you'll know, beautiful neighbourhoods area but it has the perfect other brand alignment for us. We have, Aesop just up from us and Toast and all these kind of things. So we're very happy there. And I've been there for just over a year.
When are you coming to Bruntsfield and Morningside?
I know, that would be lovely. That would be nice.
Yeah, it would.
Exactly. Maybe we'll have to try a pop-up store first.
Yeah, definitely. But you're in London too, aren't you? You have a store in London.
We are, yes. So we've got a store in London, so another permanent store, which is close to Covent Garden. The area is called Seven Dials. So kind of 5 minutes from the main Covent Garden area. And we absolutely love it. We've been there for about a year and a half. Prior to that, we did a kind of pop-up store as well in the Spitalfields area. So we were in East London for the year prior as well. But yeah, London's a great place. I absolutely love Seven Dials area. It's full of cool brands, lots of individual brands. We have, Rains next door, which is a Scandinavian outerwear brand. We've got Finisterre, another outdoor brand, and Carhartt, all on the same street. So they're brands that are, well established with huge followings. And what's really nice is we just do incredibly well there. We have people that come in and they've been in all these stores and they come in and they're buying our outerwear and loving what we're doing. So it's really nice. It's great brand adjacencies. We've got a great team down there. And it's great to have the two stores.
Yeah. Now, what's it like working with your husband?
It definitely has ups and downs, but on the whole, it's pretty good actually, I would say. We I guess, like a lot of people say, running your own business it's stressful and I guess could be very lonely. I think to have somebody else that's very close and going through all the highs and all the lows together is actually super nice. We definitely have, very different personalities and very different skill sets. And it just it works quite well. We do, I'm not saying that it's like plain sailing and super, easy all the time. We do make sure that we have a bit of time where, we have the Edinburgh store, which also has our office down the stairs. So we kind of split our time so that some of us, like sometimes I'll have a bit of time working at home and vice versa. Steve's down in London today. So we're not kind of side by side all the time. And I think that is quite important,
Yeah, definitely. God, if me and my husband worked together, we'd kill each other.
We definitely had our moments. I think in the sort of earlier years when we first got started, there was a time, and Steve was still working in finance, and he had, done various contract roles, and he was in between and came to help out in Meander. And I think at that time we were still working on the kitchen table kind of thing. And that was just far too early. It was wrong timing for us. And there was no kind of, it just felt like it was all work, because it was in our house. We were working at the kitchen table and it just wasn't right. And I think after we maybe did that at that stage for kind of 5 or 6 months, and then Steve was like, I think I need to get another contract role. I think it was as much financially as it was for our kind of mental health at that time. One of us needs to leave the house. But I think now for the size that we're at, it kind of works,
Yeah. And it must be nice having the finance person on side, because that's one of the key things in a growing business. You get the numbers right and you can make really great decisions based on those, and to have somebody that you can really trust with the numbers must be absolutely invaluable, Jill.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think it's really helped us, especially when it's been things like, going for investment, putting pitch decks together. Like we did a crowdfunding round last year, and yes, he was able to pull all those numbers together and present that kind of information. So massively helps from that. But even, knowing, looking at like, volumes that we need to order for the store, analyzing which products are doing best, which colors are doing best. Like there's so many numbers in clothing. So Steve's, I mean, we both wear multiple hats, but as everyone does in a startup. But yeah, I think he's found himself as the kind of the merchandiser. So, working out what stores get what, how much product to buy. So feeding that information to the factories, as well as doing, the pitch decks. And then he's turned his hand recently to graphic design. So he's doing all the labels and things like that. So, multiple things going on, but
You have to do. That's what you have to do. So what's happening next? Where are you taking it?
I mean, our big focus after starting and having a key focus is retail, and we've done a lot of like pop-up stores at certain times. We've had, two stores in London and 2 stores in Edinburgh and things like that, which has been good for us to get started. But I think now our big focus is online growth as well. So yeah, building our existing audiences and communities, and just getting the brands out there online. So we have a brilliant digital agency that we work with. So we're now just chatting to them yesterday quite excitedly about tapping into our American audience and targeting the US. So that's quite exciting. But yeah, all the new product development as well. We want to, we're still very small, so we do want to keep a small, tight collection. But yeah, we've always got some new product development on the go as well, which is always fun to work on.
And do you design that?
Yes, we do. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's very much about what fits that outdoor lifestyle. And it's something that Steve and I are living and doing each day, So absolutely, a lot of it, the ideas just come out of what we need for our everyday lives. So like one of our most recent products is a waterproof puffer jacket.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So most puffers, I don't know why, but people don't make them waterproof. They end up like complete sodden balls. And we just were like, okay, this is something that we think we need. And so, yeah, we spent 18 months developing that with our partner in Portugal. And yeah, we've created one that's completely waterproof. We use hydrophilic thread so that even the seams, no water is coming through and things like that. And yeah, that was just something that was created from why doesn't this exist? So that's often how we come up with our designs and ideas.
Amazing. My challenge to you, okay, is I cycle, is trousers that are waterproof or at least won't absorb the rain when I'm cycling, and I can turn up to a meeting and still look relatively okay. That's my challenge.
Oh, Rebecca, you need to check out the adventure trousers.
Oh, have you got adventure trousers? Right, you've already got them. Right.
Wearing them.
Okay, I'm writing adventure trousers down, and I will order some because that's
they're not waterproof. So don't get me wrong. If it is absolutely shocking, they will get wet, but they're water resistant. They have lots of stretch and they're unbelievably comfy. And I wore them today in the pouring rain, walking Dexter dog, and still I'm sitting in them now. So it's all good.
amazing. I will buy a pair after the call because that's I can't. I'm either. I think, well, I have to take the car or take the bus because I'm not going to arrive at a meeting looking like a drowned rat. But actually, me, I prefer cycling. So that's amazing. I had no idea you'd made those. So I should ask you more questions about product when we're up the hill. Right. Okay. So this is a question I've added, and I think you may have heard it because you listened to Lauren's podcast. And I don't know whether you've had time to think about this, but what's your What's your purpose? What's your destiny? What's your dharma, as the Hindus would say, about what you're doing? What is it that kind of drives you?
Sure. I mean, I guess there's two things for it. I mean, one thing that's important to us, and I guess, coming from a fashion background where you see a lot of fast fashion and things going on that wasn't really working or gelling with me and what I'm all about as a person. Steve and I are huge outdoor lovers, and so creating a brand that does the least possible harm to the environment is really massively important to us. So most of our fabrics all of our outerwear fabrics are recycled. They're bio-based fabrics that can be recycled at the end of life as well. Where we're using organic cottons in our t-shirts and our jerseys and things like that. And we're also doing manufacturing close to home. We're 1% for the Planet members, so we donate 1% of our sales each year to environmental charities. And that's something that, as the business grows, it's really, you see those contributions growing and really making a difference. And we're working this year with a charity called Scotland, the Big Picture. And they do rewilding in Scotland, which is very cool. So we have a very exciting project coming up with them, which will launch in the summer. And the proceeds from that collaboration will go back into all the good work that they're doing. So being able to create a brand that does have a purpose, we often say, like, we're a brand for outdoor lovers.
Yeah.
And so we want to protect the place that we love to enjoy by giving back to environmental charities. And I think as the brand grows, that just becomes more and more important.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fabulous. And my last question, which is, if your business had a personality or a character, either who would it be or how would you describe it?
I don't know. You've got me. That's funny. Trying to think. I feel like it would be some kind of like wild animal or something.
Yeah.
I mean, something like a wild, I don't know, one of these animals that are getting rewilded back into Scotland, like the wild cat or the lynx. Like, there's so much adventure, there's so much fun in the business. There's just a lot of excitement that I'm sure there is in the life of a wild cat. It's a fun ride.
I love that. We once saw one on Arran, one of the wildcats.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. And it was just like, wow, never seen anything like it. It was so cool. Very briefly, it had its head poked out the heather. And it was fab. Yeah, amazing. Right. Thanks, Jill. That's fantastic. No doubt we will catch up again up the hill at some point, and I'll track progress and how you're doing. And I'm going to order the adventure trousers. Can you just give a shout out for the website so everybody knows where to go?
Oh, sure. So it's meanderapparel.com. Yes.
That's really easy. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Rebecca. It's been lovely coming on and chatting.
Pleasure. If you love the entrepreneurial journey, how about subscribing and giving us a 5-star review? Wherever you get your podcasts, follow or subscribe and give us a positive review so more entrepreneurs out there don't need to feel alone. Thanks. Thanks for listening, everybody. Did you know at TriCrest we've built a kick-ass culture coach and consultant program? So if you're a business coach or consultant and you're looking for something new, add to your toolbox, or even escape the 9-to-5, join us at our next event. Links in the information on the podcast. See you there.
The Entrepreneurial Journey Podcast. We're talking business and building a culture that's kick-ass, where we make it happen. Grab your